Every couple of weeks, we get to spend a few minutes with our attorney friend Gary Massey from Massey and Associates. This is one of those times, and Gary's got some information pertaining to COVID you might want to grab a pen and paper and take a few notes on. Gary, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Want to ask you, and I know this whole COVID situation has bled over into your law practice.
It has.
Tell me exactly how and what's going on, and maybe what's the biggest question you're getting from callers about COVID-19?
Well, the question that we have gotten over and over again is, can my employer require me to get the vaccine, or can my employer fire me if I refuse to get the vaccine? And this is a question that is pretty difficult to answer because most of the time you have to wait until cases go through the court system oftentimes several cases through several court systems before you get a really clear answer. But the generic answer is probably yes, and certainly the federal government, the Department of Labor, the National Department of Labor is giving employers pretty much carte blanche to free rein to require the vaccine. And in Tennessee, in an at-will state, which means an employer can terminate your employment for any reason that's not specifically protected, because requiring a vaccine is not a protection, then they can probably fire you for not getting the vaccine. Exceptions to that would be if you have a medical condition that constitutes a disability that would give you some sort of protection under the Americans with Disabilities Act or some other federal or state statute to protect employees. But those exceptions are usually fairly narrow.
When it comes to either the mask or, if memory serves me correctly, you're already involved in a case involving someone's refusal to wear a mask, correct?
That's right. Well, there was an employee who would wear a face mask, a face guard, because they had a breathing condition, and the mask restricted their breathing so much that it was very difficult for them. So because of their disability, they needed a face guard, and for a long time the employer complied with that requirement, and then all of a sudden changed and said, no, you have to wear a mask. And we think that was a violation of their rights because they have a protected disability, which made it impossible for them to wear a mask.
And I would imagine that this whole, since the COVID pandemic broke out, a lot of areas of laws pertaining to that not many attorneys have really explored until this particular need arose.
That's right, and a lot of applications that have not been explored of the law.
What are the employee rights or the employer rights when it comes to requesting or requiring a vaccine? There's, I believe it was Boston, Philadelphia, one of the bigger cities up north. They are firing healthcare workers if they don't get vaccinated.
Well, quite frankly, in this situation, it seems to be that the balance of power tilts heavily toward the employer. And so the employer requiring the vaccine seems to have quite a bit of power to be able to do that. Looks like they're probably going to be able to do that without any repercussions. And the employee has got to have, to get around those kinds of things, the employee's got to fit into a small category that existed long before COVID.
What do you think? Do you think, and I know I hate to put you on the spot by asking this, but do you think a lot of the people who are refusing to either get vaccinated or to wear a mask are doing this just because they have the attitude of, the government can't tell me what to do?
Well, I suspect that's part of it. I'm usually really hesitant to judge people's motives and also to make decisions for other people like that, because I believe that we should have freedom on what we do to our bodies and put in our bodies. But at the same time, there is a requirement to protect a lot of people, and we've had vaccination requirements for children for longer than I've been alive, and that's not a new thing. It's been going on for over 100 years. I think my parents were given the polio vaccine without any consent at all. That's the stories that I hear anyway. So there's a gray area, and people certainly have discretion to fall on different sides of the spectrum.
Sure. And I know when you and I were growing up, there wasn't an option. I mean, get in this line, you're going to get a shot for bam, 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 bam. So anyway, we'll see how this develops. Thanks as always for coming down and keeping us updated. We will talk with you here in a couple of weeks. You can talk with Gary and the experts at Massey and Associates. They are out on Lee Highway. All you have to do is check them out, or the website is masseyattorneys.com. That's masseyattorneys.com. We'll be right back after this.